It had been 274 days since the stroke when my phone finally rang. The screen lit up with a name I hadn't seen in months, a friend who used to call every week before everything changed. For a few seconds, I just stared at it. My hands shook a little. Not because I was weak, but because I didn't know what to feel anymore. After the stroke, silence became my new companion. It wasn't the hospital machines or the empty hallways that bothered me. It was the quiet after I came home. The quiet when nobody texted. When group chats went on without me. When I realized people moved on faster than I could recover. So when that call came, it felt almost unreal. Part of me wanted to answer right away. Another part whispered, "Why now? Why after all this time?" But I picked up, and that short conversation, awkward, hesitant, full of pauses, changed the way I saw friendship forever. Because sometimes people don't disappear out of cruelty, they disappear out of fear. And that day, I began to understand that healing isn't just about walking again, it's about learning to forgive the silence. When I finally answered, neither of us spoke for a few seconds. Just silence, the kind that says more than words ever could. Then came his voice, familiar yet distant, like hearing an old song you once loved but forgot how to sing. He said, "Hey, man, I just wanted to check on you." Simple words, but they hit differently now, because months ago, I used to hear that almost every day, and then suddenly, nothing. No calls, no visits, no messages. I told myself everyone was busy, life goes on, but deep down, it hurt. He apologized not directly, but in that awkward way men do when they're not sure how to say sorry. Something about being scared, not knowing what to say, not wanting to bother me while I was recovering. I could hear the guilt in his pauses, and for the first time, I realized he wasn't avoiding me because he stopped caring. He was avoiding me because he didn't know how to face what happened to me. While he talked, my mind replayed our last day together, a backyard barbecue, beers in hand, joking about who was getting old faster. Back then, we thought we had all the time in the world, then one phone call changed everything. Not this one, but the one that came from the hospital 9 months ago. I remember him showing up the first week after my stroke, trying to make small talk, visibly uncomfortable. He saw me struggle to speak, to move, and I could see it in his eyes, fear. Not disgust, not pity, fear that this could happen to him too. And after that, he never came back. Now, hearing his voice again, I realized how much I missed the normal things, stupid jokes, football arguments, late-night calls about nothing. Things that once annoyed me now felt precious. I didn't say much. I just listened. Because sometimes, listening is the only way to start again. Before hanging up, he said, "Maybe I could stop by sometime." I hesitated. My old self wanted to say yes right away, but a quieter part of me whispered, "Let him mean it first." So I just said, "Yeah, maybe." When the call ended, I sat there for a long time, phone still in my hand, staring at the wall. The house was quiet again, but this time, the silence didn't feel empty. It felt like the space right before the first note of a song, fragile, but full of possibility. At first, I told myself it was just my imagination. The silence at dinner, the quick glances between my wife and the kids, I convinced myself they were worried, maybe tired. But as days turned into weeks, I started feeling like a ghost in my own home. I could hear laughter from the living room, the sound of cartoons, the smell of popcorn. I wanted to join them, to sit, to smile, to be part of that little world again, but something stopped me every time. Maybe it was the fear of being pitied, or maybe it was the fear that I no longer fit. My wife tried. She really did. She asked me to come on short walks, to visit old friends, to watch the sunrise again, but I always found a reason to say no. I told her my leg hurt, or that I was tired. The truth, I didn't know how to be myself anymore. My friends stopped calling after a while. Maybe they thought I needed space. Maybe they didn't know what to say. Sometimes I scrolled through old photos, camping trips, birthdays, beers after work, and wondered if they missed me, or if they'd already moved on. Stroke didn't just take my strength. It quietly took my place in the world, and no one, not even me, seemed to know how to put it back. It happened on a Tuesday morning. My wife was getting the kids ready for school, rushing around the kitchen, like always. I was sitting by the window, staring at the sunlight through the trees. I don't know why, but that morning I noticed the light looked different, softer, warmer. Maybe it had always been that way, and I just never stopped long enough to see it. My daughter came running in, holding a crayon drawing of me, her super dad. The stick figure had a crooked smile, one arm thinner than the other. She said, "Daddy, you're still my hero." I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. That small piece of paper hit me harder than any medicine, any therapy session. It reminded me that maybe my worth wasn't in what I could do, but in who I still was. Later that week, my physical therapist asked me to try walking outside again. I hesitated, afraid of how people might look at me, how they might see the limp in my step, but I went. Slowly, one step at a time. And for the first time, I felt the ground beneath me not as an enemy, but as a promise. The air was cool, the sky clear. I could hear kids playing down the street, a dog barking, someone mowing their lawn. It was life, simple, ordinary, and beautiful. That day, I didn't just walk. I rejoined the world one slow, shaky step at a time. It's been a year since my stroke. A year since the world stopped and then slowly started again. The man I was before doesn't fully exist anymore, but the one I am now, maybe he's not so bad. I still walk with a limp. Some days I get tired easily. Words slip away from me sometimes, but I've learned that healing isn't about becoming who I was. It's about growing into who I'm meant to be. My mornings start slower now. I make my own coffee. I take time to breathe. I talk to my wife about small things, the garden, the weather, the kids. Somehow, those small things feel bigger than anything I used to chase. A few months ago, I started volunteering at a local rehab center. I talk to people who are where I once was lost, scared, angry. I tell them that it's okay to feel broken, but it's not okay to give up. Sometimes I see a spark in their eyes, that tiny, trembling hope that says, maybe I can make it too. And every time I see it, I remember why I'm still here. Stroke changed everything, but it didn't end me. It slowed me down just enough to notice life again, to listen, to love deeper, to be truly alive. I may walk slower now, but I walk with purpose. And that, I've learned, is more than enough.